Arsenal fans are starting to get excited. We're beginning to see links emerge between players and Arsenal. You can tell the January transfer window is edging ever closer. But what's the likelihood of these deals actually happening? What can these guys bring to this team? I think these are questions that need to be answered first. Let me know in the comment section, do you see Arsenal entering the January transfer window? To me, it depends what Arsenal's frame of mind is. Like, we've been in this position before where it's like Arsenal look like the best team in the league. And right now, it's obvious. Arsenal are clearly the best team in the league. And if Arsenal want to 100% make sure that at the end of the season, that title is theirs, they can enter the January transfer window and buy a couple of players. Because like I said, 2 seasons ago, it seemed inevitable that Arsenal would win the league. And then we lose it close to the end. So if Arsenal have that in the back of their mind where they're thinking, right, I don't want to repeat. I don't want this to be 2 seasons ago where Man City pip us, or even if it's Chelsea, whoever it is. So I'm going to go out there and make a statement. I'm signing Semenyo. I'm signing Mendoza, this centre mid. Can I see these deals happening? Look, in terms of a player, Semenyo is more well known than this other guy. But positionally, to me, it doesn't make as much sense. Because I look at that left-hand side. Like, we have so many players. And that could be an argument, right? If Arsenal get injuries, then they would fall away. And that might be the reason why they enter this January transfer window. But we're already seeing injuries. Like, we've already been through a horrific patch of injuries. Like, just look or think about some of the players Arsenal have missed at points this season. You think at the back, you've had Saliba out, you've had Gabriel out, moving into midfield, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Gyökeres, Gabriel Jesus. If we was ever going to fall away because of injuries, I think we would have already seen that. Because like I said, the calibre of players Arsenal have missed, and still we're in this position, the players are starting to come back. So for me, in terms of if you're worried about injury, that's not the sole reason why you should sign a player. That's why Semenyo to me doesn't make as much sense. Now, just because I think that, by the way, doesn't mean it won't happen. Mikel Arteta might be set on this player. He might identify qualities that Semenyo has that could benefit this Arsenal team. And in the most part, I would agree with him. I would take Semenyo at Arsenal. I think the qualities he has, big, physical. We know Mikel Arteta likes that profile of player. Strong runner. Imagine that physicality added onto that left wing. Imagine the stories that people would talk about Arteta if we was to sign this big, strong player in that position as well. So there is a world in where I can see Semenyo to Arsenal happening. But again, it's like you've got Trossard in that position. You've got Martinelli in that position. When Gabriel Jesus comes back, I think a lot of us are under the opinion that if needed, he can play out wide with the trickery, the ability to create a chance for someone else. So there's 3 or 4 players there. Madueke, some people are saying he might be the long-term left-wing option. And some people are still under the opinion that Emirates Eze will apply his trade on that Arsenal left wing when we have Odegaard back and drop him more central. So there are so many options ahead of Semenyo. You would think if he was to come in, like I said, again, that doesn't mean it won't happen, but I'm just looking at that congestion and thinking, do we need another player to add to that position? Again, he's a quality player, so I probably would take him. But the vulnerability, if there is one, I see being more central. So this Mendoza guy might be the profile that Arsenal go for, because like I said, we've had injuries to the left wing and we've coped. Injuries to the right wing, injuries up front, and we've been able to manage. We've had injuries in that defensive line and we all know we've been able to cope. Like, the drop off hasn't been that big. Saliba was out, Mascara, we've spoke about it before. In midfield, I think that is the problem area. I look at it and I think, if you get Zubimendi injured, you've got Declan Rice that can play that role. We know we've got Norgard that can play that role. But is there a huge drop-off? Like, if you get Zubimendi injured, you're losing what Declan Rice offers further forward. So, again, you're losing a lot in midfield. Again, if you get Declan Rice injured, you're losing a lot in terms of that position. So, the one area of the pitch, I think we're slightly weaker than others. If I had to identify one area, it probably would be that central midfield. Because like I said, the keeper, if Raya was to get injured, you've still got a very decent backup. Timber, you can go the whole way across the pitch. Timber, if he gets injured, you've got Ben White, Saliba, Mascara, Gabriel Nkapie, Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly. You go into midfield, if Zubimendi gets injured, you've got Norgard. I guess there could be an argument in where you could push Miles Lewis-Skelly into midfield to see how that works, but that's experimental. Do you need to be experimenting? And that is the way that Mikel Arteta might be looking at it. We've got cover on the left. We have cover on the right. Up front, we know we've got covered. We've got all three of our strikers out, and we've got a central midfielder who can play there. So you would have Mikel Merino who can do that defensive option. But again, I'm looking at Rice and Zubimendi, and I'm thinking if these guys get injured, there's a huge problem there. So maybe Mikel Arteta and Berto will think ahead and said this Mendoza could be the solution to that problem that we might see in the future. We've seen Berta forward thinking with some of these signings. Like Madueke was a signing. Not much of us understood at the time, but we saw Saka got injured. Madueke slotted into that position and you're thinking, wow, that was seamless. The drop-off wasn't too much. Again with Saliba, we brought in Mosquera and it worked. Gabriel, Nkapie, and it worked. So could Mendoza be the guy to come in and learn from these guys? And if ever there's a scenario where we had to use him, could he slot into that position? That is the most realistic one for me. Again, let me know if you agree. Maybe you don't. But for me, if I see Arsenal going out there and signing a player in this January transfer window, it probably does make sense to me to be a central midfielder because of that issue. Like I said, let me know your thoughts. Arsenal are playing tonight. Look, by the time you watch this, the game might have already been played out, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. I'm just so excited to see how this game plays out. Like, I've just watched the press conferences. Kompany, Mikel Arteta, huge respect for one another. Both of them are understanding, you know, this is a real challenge, and both of them demonstrating that they definitely want to win this game. No one's taking it easy. So to the people that were hoping that Arsenal put out a rotated team, rest-free players, I don't know if we're going to see that. Now, you can never fully tell with a Mikel Arteta press conference because he likes to keep a lot behind closed doors. He doesn't want to give too much away. But to me, like I said, I would rest players in this game. It's an important game. I would like the win. There's so many scars from Bayern Munich due to previous seasons, I understand. So for people that are now looking at it and saying, no, we're a better team than Bayern, let's go out there and give them their medicine. Fine. But I'm looking at that Chelsea game, and after the performance Chelsea put in last night, I'm thinking I want fresh legs for that Chelsea game, because it's getting to the point where we're having to consider Chelsea as a potential title rival. Now, in my opinion, they won't be there at the end of the season, but again, that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it'll be true. Like, Chelsea have got a good team. They've got some good players. Esteval's going through a bit of a purple patch at the minute. People are pointing him out and saying, this guy's a future Ballon d'Or winner. So they do have players that can hurt Arsenal. So for that reason, I want fresh legs. Look, I'm excited for this next period. I'm seeing people after that Chelsea result getting scared. There's worry in the Arsenal fan base. And I would just say, don't worry, because we are now well equipped. In previous seasons, when we're coming up against teams like Chelsea, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, there's kind of just an outside chance. You're just hoping these players turn up and have an unbelievable game and can grind out a result or can produce a moment. This Arsenal team now is more than well equipped to go out there and dominate, not dominate, but be the leading team in this game. We're not going into these games as underdogs. Like, we're playing Bayern Munich, probably on form, well, definitely on form, one of the very best teams in world football. And people are saying this is a 50-50 game. Arsenal are not in this position by chance. So coming into these difficult moments, again, I know it's hard because it's kind of new for Arsenal fans to be this dominant, best team in the world. But we are that right now. So we should embrace it. We should enjoy these type of moments because, like I said, we're ready for this. Like, these type of games I'm looking at. And although, of course, I'll be nervous because I'm a football fan. You can never watch every game and have no emotion and not think, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm excited to play Bayern. Like I said, even with a rotated team, I think we can beat them. That Chelsea game in particular is the one I'm more looking forward to. Now, if this was a quarter-final or a semi-final with the Champions League, then for me, there would be a lot more jeopardy, a lot more pressure on this game. But it's kind of like a bit of a free hit at the minute because the way Arsenal are playing, the way Arsenal are performing, getting results, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Arsenal are going to progress to the next stage of the Champions League. So for me, there's not too much pressure. If you draw this game, there's not going to be conversations. It's not going to be too much of a negative unless you go out there and lose 5-0, which I don't see any team in world football being able to do that to Arsenal. But it's that Chelsea game. That's the game I'm so excited about. But for tonight, we shall sit and watch Bayern Munich. If that game has already happened, like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. How did Arsenal get on? And I, of course, will be having a full match breakdown, more videos about the Chelsea game once this Bayern Munich game's finished. Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could do me a quick favour, just hit like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.